Hey, what's going on, guys? This is CJ. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we are finally building the gaming slash editing rig for YouTube, and I'm super excited for this. All the parts that I have here, I'll go over, and there might be a little overkill, but I'll go over them. And if you guys want to build this machine, it'll be in the description, but also I'll let you guys know on what to buy if you are looking for a little bit more budgeted friendly machine. So let's get straight into all the parts. So like I said, guys, this is kind of a crazy build, but for what I'm doing, it is definitely worth it, and I hope you guys enjoy. And I am looking to increase the quality on my YouTube channel. So look out for that in probably, I would say maybe a week or two until I get the actual monitor that supports it. But for all the parts that I have right here, I am starting with the 1,000-watt power supply. This is more than enough to power everything in my machine, and even probably more than I might need, but this is a great start, and plus it is fully modular, which I absolutely love. If you're looking for a power supply, I would totally tell you to get something that's modular, so you can cable management so much easier because you don't need to plug it in if you don't need it. For cooling this crazy i9 processor that I have a 360 rad from Corsair. It's H150i Pro. I love the radiator because this is like a straight cut, and it's going to look really good in the machine that I have, or the case that I have in the back here, which I'll go over in a second. The motherboard that I finally wanted for a long time is a Maximus board, and I wanted one of these for a long time because of the overclocking capabilities that it has over like every other board that I typically get. But powering everything for gaming is this crazy 2080 Ti, and I'm super stoked for this because of the quality increase that I'll be doing. Will definitely need something like this in that regards to the quality increase, which will probably be a higher resolution. I'm not really sure what exactly, but I bet Far Cry would look absolutely amazing if I had a higher resolution monitor. Those are all the parts. I'm going to set this up on the stand and kind of build it and go over how to build this machine. I have all my parts laid next to me. As you can see, if you are building a machine, have everything at your disposal so you're not walking back and forth. Let's get right into this, guys. So typically when I start building a machine, I normally start with the case, and I'll kind of show you guys what I exactly do with the case. Typically, I don't use anything that is on the front of the case. So all this stuff except the power button, of course, I will just kind of cut the cable or wrap it up so it's not in the way. And it's really just because I don't plug anything in the front. It might be convenient for you, and if it is, then go ahead, plug in your 3.0. I'm going to just wrap this up really tight on the top after I put the radiator in, just to make sure everything fits nicely, and then not even use it whatsoever. Typically, I cut it, but I might be getting rid of this case because I have this crazy machine going into this $80 case, which actually is a really good case because of how much space is in the back. I just thought I would use this case because it's better than the other cheap case that I have. So it's typically what I do for my first setup on any type of rig. This is so exciting to me. I did not show you guys when I first opened this box because I kind of opened it up and looked at it beforehand, but this is, oh my God, guys, I'm so excited for this. So I know Intel or AMD made a really cool box for the Threadripper, but I for sure will give the props to Intel. This has been the coolest box I have ever seen, and I am so excited to spend this type of money and get a cool box like this to just sit up and show off basically of what my machine has in it. So on the motherboard, there is a little latch that you just push down, pull out, and go up, and it will actually lift up that door. And once the processor is down, go ahead and put the door down. Make sure that it will go underneath this screw, and then just push down on this lever. And just doing the opposite, and then your CPU is installed. So what I'm going to do now is install my 500 gigabyte M.2 into the motherboard. And there's just these two screws that you have to lift up or loosen up first, and then put the M.2 in. So you put it at a slight angle and then insert it into that spot. Kind of putting some pressure on it. Make sure it's all lined up, and then remove this cover on the thermal pad. I had it up and then I didn't pull. And then go ahead and just lay it on top and then screw it in. I'm using 16 gigabytes of DDR4. This is 2400 megahertz, but I'm going to overclock this to 3000 when I get back into the BIOS. Okay guys, so I stripped out the fans on the front just because I'm going to use the fans that came with the H150 just because they are more pressurized fans, and then the RGB fans will be on the front just to make the case look a little bit better. So I moved all the cables out of the way, and I'm going to install the motherboard. And with these better motherboards or higher end motherboards, they don't actually come with an IO shield, so you don't have to actually install this at all. It's already pre-installed on the motherboard itself, so it's actually really cool, and it makes it more simple for you. All the standoffs are already on or in the case, so you literally just need to install this by putting at a 45-degree angle on the back, lining up all the standoffs, and then that's it. That's all you have to do to install a motherboard. And then I will take these screws here because they are my favorite and install these guys in every standoff, and then slightly tighten them down, and then I'll actually go back and crank them down. So I have one screw in each standoff, and now I'm just going to make sure the board is positioned the way that I like, and then I'm just going to go back crisscross patterned and out to in to tighten down every screw. And just to clarify, I'm just using my fingers to tighten down these screws. I'm not using any type of wrist power, so don't have to crank them down, guys. So this is the power supply here. It is a fully modular power supply, like I said before. So this makes it so much easier to install. And I was actually debating, and if you guys have questions about if you should install your power supply up or down, it doesn't really matter, honestly. If you have your computer on carpet, then put it up. If you have it on a desk, then put it down. If you want air, or you want the power supply to help with exhausting air out of your case, then put it up. But it honestly doesn't really matter. I mean, it might change your temperatures very slightly, but it's not going to burn it or anything like that. So you don't have to really worry about that much unless you're causing an issue with like blocking the fan from any type of air, then it might actually cause an issue at that point. Perfect. So I have the power supply installed, and now I think I'm going to do the radiator now, just so I get that out of the way. So this will depend on the cooler that you got, but this is the back plate, and I find it to be the easiest way to put the back plate on while the case is standing up. And once that's placed on there, go ahead and take one of these standoffs and screw it into the other side, and then you can lay it down. Make sure to go and check out your manual on your cooler. Regardless if it's water or if it's air, there might be different mounting hardware for that cooler, and it might be different per socket that you might have. So make sure you actually check. And then while you're installing a back plate, little prongs go through the hole on the back, and you can actually, while screwing in the standoff, it could pinch the motherboard. So you might think it's tight and installed correctly, but you're actually pinching the standoff and the motherboard in between the back plate. So make sure that is actually going through your motherboard instead of it being pinched. So here is the cooler. I am going to clean off the thermal paste that comes on and pre-applied, and then put my own thermal paste on this guy. So I'm using nothing but a paper towel that I'll cut or rip in half. That was not really in half, but you guys get the idea. And then I'll use some alcohol just to wet it just a little bit. And then it helps with taking off the thermal paste. Rip it once more and apply alcohol once again, and then just make sure you clean up all of the excess residue that was on it. And now that the thermal paste is all cleaned off, now it is time to set this aside and do the exact same thing that we just did for the heatsink and or water cooler, water block, whatever you have onto the processor itself. So same thing, take some paper towels, wrap it up, get your alcohol, and go ahead and put this on the processor and kind of wipe it down. So there's two ways that you can do this. You can install the radiator first and then the water block, but it's totally up to you. It doesn't really matter. One might be easier than the other, but I'm going to install the radiator first before the actual block. So it looks like everything is ready. Everything is screwed in for the radiator, and now I'm going to install the water block onto the processor. I'm going to wipe it down one last time before I actually install it, and then grab my thermal paste and put a pea size in the center of the CPU. Get one of my thumb screws ready for the water block, and then just kind of place it down the way that I want these tubes to look, and just get one thumb screw ready, hold it in place, get the other one ready, and then the last two. Now everything is kind of prepped up for that block. So I'm going to make this straight, and then I'll kind of tighten it down crisscross pattern until it's straight and everything's tight. And quite honestly, I know this case is cheap. It's like $80, but I actually really like it. It has all the features that I want, and it was just a cheap case. I like all my parts kind of condensed instead of it so spread out, because I bought some really expensive cases and had some bad luck with them not having all of the options that I would like. And this actually seems pretty good. And now I'm just going to plug in all the fans from the radiator into the controller that they actually give us associated with the block. So it's time to finally install the one and only thing in this machine that's going to be able to play all these games and play Far Cry the way that I want to play Far Cry. I'm so excited for this 2080 Ti, guys. Great looking shroud. It is actually clear. It's kind of clear. It's kind of smoked out, but it looks absolutely amazing. It is a triple slot, and you can see on the back here, you have the display port, HDMI, and then USB-C. I do have one more graphics card, though, that I will be installing, and that is the 1080. The reason for this, if you guys are wondering, because I know you guys are being like, what the heck, you can't SLI those. Or maybe you guys are like, wait, you can SLI those? No, you can't. Can't SLI these. But the whole reason for this is so I found the best way to record for me anyways. So there's no resources being taken from the processor, and my gaming, I have been using a second graphics card for that purpose. Of this is just going to encode all of my recording, and this graphics card is more than enough. Even a GTX 1060 was just fine. So I might actually downgrade later on, but it does not take that much power, and it's just a crazy graphics card to actually encode. So I'm going to use it, and this will eliminate having two computers for streaming and/or recording. So as you guys can see, this looks absolutely crazy, but I'm so excited. Oh my God, it's getting so much heavier too. So I'm going to grab some of the cables and start routing the cables for the graphics card and the motherboard, and then show you guys how I cable management. Okay guys, it is all set and built, done. And I did zip tie a few things like the 24 pin and the 8 pins for the graphics cards in the back. And you can see some cable in the back as of right now, but I just literally ordered some sleeve cables for the 24 pin and the 8 pins because I think it'll just look a little bit better. And I did just get black, and because I like this whole theme that I got going on here, I think it looks really cool. And yeah, I'm excited. Let's plug it in and test it all up. After I get those cables though, I will clean this up. This is just so I'm not using so many zip ties because I only have so many. So I will wait a little bit, but I will plug it in right now, set it all up, and show you guys the finished product. All right, guys, everything is plugged in very quickly, so it doesn't look that great, but the machine looks really good. I'm super excited, and I wanted to show you guys something that kind of came to mind, a safety thing, in fact. This is the cable that comes with the 1000 watt. And this is the cable that comes with the 750 watt. I want to show you guys this because if you already think you already have a cable plugged into the wall and you're buying some 1000 watt power supply and you could use this, you can. However, if you're pulling that much power, then this cable will heat up. And if it heats up hot enough, then it could catch fire on like carpet or something like that. So just be careful. I would use the cable that comes with the power supply just so it outputs the heat a little bit better. But for the final test, here it is. And it turns on. Not really anti-RGB anymore, but I could turn those off. Let's see if it turns on the monitor. I can hear the water going through the radiator right now. And it boots up. Here we go. Let's see if it boots up straight to the... doesn't. Okay guys, looks like everything is up and running. I did have an initial problem that I did not connect my CPU fan in the right header, which should be on the top right middle, not the middle one. It should be this one here. I know it's hard to see, but it is that one, not in the center, which was my bad, I guess. But it did load up. And then I used my M.2 from my old rig, and that didn't boot into Windows and or recognize M.2. So I reinstalled Windows, and it seems like it worked just fine. But everything's up and running. I am downloading drivers now, and then I will get on Far Cry and test that out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you are new. Far Cry videos are coming out. Also, PAX announced Borderlands 3. I am so excited for Borderlands 3. I will be playing Borderlands 3 on this channel, so keep your eye out for that. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.